Did you just start Soulframe and feel totally lost, like, where do I even go? What should I do? There are so many little things that weren't clear to me, and some of these are simply eye-openers that the game doesn't do a very good job of telling you. I'm sure they'll improve this as the game advances from its current pre-alpha stage. Anyways, GoodGuysFree here with a guide for the ultimate beginner in Soulframe, so let's get started. My good friend Teru278 got me playing Soulframe and helped me along in the beginning. I like to tell myself he may have gotten me quickly through parts, so I missed places where the game was telling me what and how to do things, but I know me. I wouldn't have had the patience to read those things anyway. Can you blame me? Sure you can. Just a disclaimer, all this was recorded and is correct for Preludes 11, Hotfix 11. Number 1. Compass. Let's start with the compass. Sometimes you see it, and sometimes you don't. The game tells you to use the control for the Sparrow Guide, and when you do that, it will make the compass reappear. Sometimes it takes a few seconds, and maybe the game is still buggy. Sometimes it will take another summoning of the Sparrow Guide, maybe some moving around, etc. Eventually it will appear. Notice that the compass sometimes shows the sparrow marker, and when you're on a mission, it will show the next objective. Pretty useful, but if you open the map, you'll see where that objective is. Number 2. Switching weapons. Okay, you constantly carry with you a primary weapon and a secondary. Switching between them is easy. The keyboard control is R by default. But I saw that I have a longsword as well and kept trying to switch to it and couldn't. Turns out you can't. You can change your primary weapon and your secondary weapon while in Nightfold. But when you're in the normal world, you can only switch between the primary and the secondary. To change which weapon you use as primary or secondary, you can go to Nightfold, into the tent, interact at the far end, and choose a new weapon. However, each weapon has a different specialization, and each is attuned to a different one of your virtues, grace, courage, or spirit. Bows are usually attuned to grace, so if your stats are emphasizing courage, and you switch from a sword which is attuned to courage to a bow that's attuned to grace, the damage dealt by your weapon can suffer severely. In other words, don't switch weapons unless you mean to switch specialization. Number 3. Location names. Location names come in these weird, undecipherable characters. With time, you'll be able to read those. Once you have had your first ancestor join you, you start noticing these floating things. They're called motes. I think the game mentioned that you need to use some control to grab them, but this changed with Preludes 11. Now you need to use the control for Soul Steal, but it only works while you are in Soul mode, i.e. when you have your Soul Vision on. Was this mentioned already somewhere? I don't remember. Anyway, each time you grab one of those, they replace some of the letters in the place name and reveal a little more about the place itself. Number 4. World Map. While you're exploring, the game missions will take you to places and you will find world trees. When you extract the spear from the tree, a section of the map will clear up for you. Exploring the map by going from place to place is fun, but tough. Luckily, we can see the world trees in the clouded areas. A bit harder to notice, but it's still possible. And we can mark the locations, giving us a great marker on the compass. Watch out though. If you're pretty early in the game, your ability to handle some of the enemies is limited, especially farther from the starting area. Still, once you open up everything, the map looks like this. Number 5. Find your fallen frame. When you die, you are given an option: spawn at the respawn point or fly the Sparrow Guide to find your fallen frame. The amount of time you have to search is limited. If you exceed it, you'll simply respawn at the respawn point. No biggie. While searching, however, you follow the shimmering thread until you find yourself. This is much simpler above ground than in dungeons, but there are 2 things that can help you. First, notice that you can see the thread's path ahead of the shimmer point snaking its way, and if you hold down space, you'll fly faster. Second, you can go to your tent in Nightfold, open up the Upgrade Pact screen, and you will see that every pact probably has something like this. Wingspan gives you more time with a Sparrow Guide. Number 6. Flyblades versus Shortblades. Your secondary weapon is important. There are generally 2 classes of secondary weapons: Shortblades and Flyblades. Currently, there are only 2 weapons that are Flyblades: Precles and Skilter. All the rest are Shortblades. Be aware that some Shortblades are primary weapons, and only a few are secondaries. If you're using a bow as your primary weapon, a short blade secondary could be an excellent choice for close quarters combat. Use your bow from afar as much as you can. Then when the enemies get closer, switch to your short blade. Personally, I like the fly blades better. Their charged attack makes them fly circles around you, hitting your opponents again and again, while you can continue to use your primary weapon. When you're using a longsword, a magic staff, or a polearm as your primary, fly blades have the benefit that their primary attack is to be thrown. Yes, you can also throw your primary weapon, but fly blades are simply faster. Since other weapons you throw, you need to recall, making the iteration cumbersome and slow. Number 7. Dungeons. The game includes several dungeons that have different characteristics. The first one you come across is the Dermak Undercity. The game tells you to look for something down in the well. These dungeons are a beautiful thing. They are made of sets of large blocks that can be constructed in different ways, allowing the game to semi-randomly assemble the dungeon every time you enter it. The Dermak Undercity has quite a few entrances, and each one exits randomly to a different location on the map. Another dungeon is the Glades of Andurin, which is usually a more difficult one, but oh well. Don't forget that you can open the map while in the dungeon. Pretty useful, especially when a mission takes you into a dungeon. The map will show you where you need to head to. And yeah, the Sparrow Guide also works in the dungeon, guiding you towards the exit. And if you feel the dungeon is too difficult for your level, you can try to simply run through it, running away from your enemies. Number 8. Using Soul Mode. Using Soul Mode is very useful. It is a great way to see what's around you in the dark, and no, I haven't found a light source in this game, but in Preludes 11, Soul Mode also allows you to highlight objects near you. In dungeons, chests and other useful loot is sometimes hidden in dark corners. After you defeat a set of enemies, their dropped loot is highlighted nicely, as are other things in the same area. The same is true above ground, of course, and even more so since items can lurk hidden in tall grass, etc. Flowers and plants are supposed to be useful for coloring your armor and clothes, but to be honest, I haven't unlocked this yet. Notice that statues are highlighted nicely, and when unlocked, they give a bonus to one of your virtues, which could increase the stats of your gear. Final words. So, what did you find to be non-obvious that the game didn't tell you? Let me know in the comments. That's it for now. If you see I made a mistake, please leave a comment. If you found this useful, hit like, share, and let me know. GoodGuysFree here, and I'll see you again soon.
Took you long enough.